The humid night air around Henderson Field on Guadalcanal hung like a suffocating shroud, thick with the scent of wet jungle earth and the distant roar of surf pounding against the island's black sands. It was October 24, 1942. At 2200 hours, Private Robert Young Deere of the U.S. Army's 164th Infantry Regiment checked his M1 Garand rifle one last time. His unit had arrived just 11 days prior, the first U.S. Army formation to reinforce the Marines, who'd been fighting desperately to hold the airfield since August. The Marines, still armed mostly with bolt-action Springfield rifles, eyed the newcomers and their semi-automatic weapons with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. Yet in the hours to come, the Garand would prove itself beyond all doubt, as its rapid firepower helped determine the outcome of one of the most vicious night battles of the Pacific War. From deep within the dark jungle came a sound that froze every American soldier in place, a rising wave of screams as thousands of Japanese infantry surged forward, shouting banzai and totsugeki at the top of their lungs. Among them was Lieutenant Kenji Yamamoto of the 29th Infantry Regiment, gripping his long Type 38 Arisaka rifle. The weapon, a design dating back to 1905, featured a 31-inch barrel that was excellent for long-range shooting but unwieldy in the dense jungle. Like most Japanese rifles, it was bolt-action and fed by a 5-round internal magazine loaded with stripper clips. Some of the newer troops advancing beside him carried the more modern Type 99 rifle, chambered in the more powerful 7.7mm cartridge. But regardless of model, every Japanese rifleman faced the same limitation. Each shot required the shooter to lift, pull, push, and lower the bolt to chamber the next round. That mechanical disadvantage would prove devastating in what followed. The difference between these two rifles, the American M1 Garand and the Japanese Arisaka, represented more than technology. It symbolized industrial capability and doctrinal preparation. The M1 Garand, designed by John C. Garand over 17 years of development at the Springfield Armory, became the first semi-automatic rifle to be issued widely to any nation's infantry. Adopted by the U.S. Army in 1936, it fired the powerful .30-06 Springfield cartridge and utilized a gas-operated system that automatically cycled the action after each shot. With an 8-round N-block clip that could be reloaded in seconds, a trained soldier could fire 40 to 50 accurate rounds per minute, more than double the rate possible with any bolt-action rifle. For U.S. infantry, this meant overwhelming, sustained firepower at the squad level. For Japanese troops charging across open ground or moving through jungle paths, it meant facing a wall of bullets they were never equipped to counter. In contrast, Japanese small arms development was shaped by earlier conflicts against poorly equipped foes. The Type 38, firing a light 6.5mm cartridge, produced manageable recoil but lacked the stopping power needed to punch through cover or halt charging enemies. The later Type 99, introduced in 1939, addressed some of these concerns with a heavier 7.7mm round, but Japanese industry could not produce enough of the newer rifles to replace the older ones. This left frontline units dependent on 2 calibers of ammunition, complicating logistics. The 5-round magazine, bolt-action mechanism, and long length of the rifles further limited their effectiveness in the jungle, where rapid reaction and sustained fire mattered far more than theoretical long-range accuracy. American manufacturing capacity intensified these differences. Between 1936 and 1945, the United States produced roughly 5.4 million M1 Garand rifles, with production quality and interchangeability strictly controlled. By mid-1943, most U.S. Army and Marine infantrymen in the Pacific carried the M1 as standard issue. The Japanese, meanwhile, produced millions of rifles, but could not maintain quality as resources dwindled. Early Type 99 rifles featured chrome-lined barrels, anti-aircraft sights, and wire monopods, but as the war progressed, these features disappeared. Stocks became rough, metal finishes crude, and late-war last-ditch rifles were sometimes dangerously unsafe to fire. The tactical difference on the battlefield could not have been clearer. With the M1 Garand, American soldiers could maintain their sight picture after each shot while the rifle automatically cycled. Japanese riflemen, by contrast, had to break position and manually work their bolts. In the tight confines of the jungle, where glimpses of the enemy lasted only seconds, the ability to fire quickly and repeatedly often meant the difference between life and death. This disparity was demonstrated vividly during the battle for Henderson Field. As the Japanese poured forward in screaming waves, Americans armed with M1 Garands opened fire. Soldiers of the 164th Infantry fired controlled volleys, each man effectively a miniature machine gun team. Marine Private Robert Leckie later wrote of the moment, "Those Garands spoke with a voice we had never heard before. It was not the sporadic crack of single shots. It was a continuous, relentless roar."
The Japanese, expecting to close the distance quickly and attack with bayonets, instead ran headlong into sustained, accurate fire. Lieutenant Watanabe of the 29th Infantry Regiment later wrote that they had been taught that Japanese spirit and courage outweighed American technology. That belief shattered in the gunfire. "Every American soldier seemed to have an automatic weapon," he said. "We fired once, then worked the bolt. In that time, the Americans fired 5 times. We never reached them." Throughout the Pacific, this advantage repeated itself. At Cape Gloucester in 1943, Marines fought in torrential rain and mud that rendered many weapons unreliable. Yet the M1 Garand continued to function, even when caked in grit or soaked through. At Saipan in 1944, during the largest Banzai charge of the war, American lines held, largely because thousands of M1 rifles poured continuous fire into the advancing troops. Survivors recalled the constant metallic ping of empty clips ejecting and fresh ones being slammed home. None of this diminishes the courage of Japanese infantry. They advanced with extraordinary determination into impossible situations, but bravery alone could not overcome the mechanized lethality of a semi-automatic rifle firing a powerful cartridge at twice the rate of their own weapons. Industrial might, engineering refinement, and standardized production allowed American infantrymen to hold lines that might otherwise have buckled under sheer numbers and aggression. The struggle at Henderson Field revealed a truth repeated across the Pacific. Modern war favors the side that can produce not only brave soldiers, but also the tools that allow those soldiers to fight effectively. The M1 Garand did not win the war by itself, but it fundamentally changed the nature of infantry combat. While Japanese troops carried rifles rooted in the previous century, American soldiers carried the weapon of the century to come. And on that dark night in Guadalcanal, when the jungle erupted with screams and gunfire, the difference was decisive. The United States held the field, the Japanese attack failed, and the long, grinding tide of the Pacific